President Cyril Ramaphosa says South Africa falling into a technical recession shouldn't come as a surprise. He admitted earlier this afternoon that the economy has shown all the signs that this would be the case. Ramaphosa added that for the country to stimulate the economy, government can't shy away from tough reforms.
But the recession underlines the urgent need for us as a country to embark and continue on the measures that we announced in SONA. We cannot sit back and not do what needs to be done. We will need to sharpen our focus and concentrate our efforts on the reforms that we need to embark upon, and also to implement the initiatives that we announced. To have any hope of success, we need obviously a reliable and a sustainable electricity supply.
Well, let's get a sense of what the recession means for you and me. And we're joined by Adrian Saville, who via Skype, he is the Chief Executive for Cannon Asset Managers. Adrian, thanks so much for your time. For you, what were the clearest signs that this recession was coming?
I think it was well in the water from a long way back that the critical drivers, which are the export sector and the investment sector, have both been stalled for a long time. And so even if you got some relief from consumer spending or government spending, which have indeed helped provide a tiny bit of buoyancy, they aren't really powerful drivers. They're just not going to deliver the types of numbers that people are talking about. And so, you know, you can talk of a big number, you can talk about a recovery, but those critical ingredients of investment spending and export-led expenditure are just missing in action, and they have been for some time.
We're talking about 0.2% growth for 2019. What does that mean for the average South African?
Well, for the average South African, it means that we are structurally stuck, and that structural stuckness displays in many shapes and forms, including entrenched unemployment, in particular youth unemployment, very sluggish, if any, wage or income growth, and a budget deficit that now looks like it could comfortably go bigger than 7% of GDP. All of those are unequivocal negatives for you and me, the average consumer, the average household. Those are unequivocal negatives. There is perhaps sort of two silver linings. The one is that there is the potential for relief from monetary policy, and South Africa still sits with very elevated interest rates relative to the rest of the world, and relief could come in the form of lower interest rates. The other is, if we take guidance from President Ramaphosa's narrative around these GDP figures, is this is a call to action. And, you know, we've been saying this for a long time. The time to act is now. But if the message has not landed yet, I'm not sure if it will ever land. That South Africa has to get out of the business of talking and into the business of getting on with these structural adjustment deliverables.
He's talking about major reforms. Of course, when we look at the budget speech, the major balancing of the budget was around that public sector wage bill that is being fought tooth and nail by the unions. For you, what does the outlook look like?
I'm not encouraged. They're asking for 160 billion to come off the wage bill, and that was tabled without engagement with the unions. Certainly that's what you read from the conversation around this. It just doesn't look good that unions have dug their heels in. This will hold the country to ransom. If South Africa doesn't get growth going, if we don't redress the budget deficit, a downgrade from the final ratings agency is an absolute racing certainty. And that will translate into a weaker currency, rising interest rates against my earlier observation, and inflation. And then you will have high unemployment, higher inflation, a weak rand, and households will be pushed further onto the back foot. So, you know, the importance, I think, of getting on with these structural reforms and taking the pain. And that's for all South Africans to take the pain, not for a particular sector, but we have to do this as a collective for structural adjustment to work.
Adrian, thank you so much. Adrian Saville there, who is the Chief Executive for Cannon Asset Managers.